are live, you are live.
Good morning and welcome to the Sunrise Safari. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have Dangerous Dave Easterbach on camera today. And we have Sam and Jandre out in the other vehicle. And we have Vim and Steph on Shank's pony. And we've already collected a plethora of spider webs. It's an overcast morning, about 18 degrees Celsius, 66 Fahrenheit, which means we might is about to change. We've had a couple of quiet drives, and I always like getting out in the early morning with a blank canvas, or sorry, a painted canvas of tracks to try to figure out what's been going on overnight. But great to have you all with us. Let's go see what we can find. Also, we have we have Rebecca and Louise in final control, making sure we behave and jumping between the vehicles to give you guys the best game drive possible. So before we skedaddle straight to the east down towards Cheetah Plains, we just had a quick look around Shabam Road. I'm just trying to see if there are possibly any tracks of Queen Karula, but so far, unfortunately, nothing. Lots of hyena tracks up and down. What track is that? That looks a little bit more promising. Pesky baboon tracks yet again. From yesterday, no doubt. Those knuckle tracks that look very similar and about the same size as a leopard track. A very good morning to Robin, who's, well, I'm checking very carefully to make sure Karula hasn't snuck across. Robin would like to know, what animal is a jackal closely related to? Well, Robin, it's very closely related to dogs. So it is of the Canis family, the same as a domestic dog. And I'm trying to remember now, side-striped jackal. Obviously the black-backed jackal is its other closest relative, but it is part of the dog family. So if we had to say what it was related to, probably domestic dogs, not too far off, or the foxes, Cape fox, black-eared fox. But even though wild dogs are referred to as dogs, and they are definitely part of the Canis family, they are further away from a jackal than a domestic dog is in terms of relation. Now, the African wild dog split from domestic dogs over 1 million years ago. They've even got an extra toe, and their dentition, their teeth, are very different and develop differently from a jackal or a dog. A jackal and a dog is very similar dentition bird, and probably the closest relative I can think of offhand. Or the Ethiopian wolf, also a Canis. We get two species of jackal here, the side-striped and the black-backed. We tend at the moment to see side-striped more often, but it does sort of go in phases. I remember not so long ago we used to see a lot of black-backed jackal when I was in the southern Sabi Sands, and very few side-striped. The black-backed jackal prefer a slightly more open habitat, and they are far more carnivorous in their diet. They eat a lot more meat than a side-stripe. Side-stripes will eat lots of insects, fruits even, and are able to diversify their diet a bit more than the black-backed. And a very interesting thing, if you look at animal distributions, and I'll see if I can show you a map just now, between the side-striped jackal and the black-backed jackal. Now, there's some very strange distributions, and they're based off rivers and also wet and dry cycles over the last couple of 100,000 years. So, for example, black-backed jackal occur throughout most of southern Africa, right to the Zambezi River. And then north of the Zambezi River, they're none, all the way to southern Tanzania. Those are absolutely fascinating. And that's mostly because in between there is Miombo woodland. And Miombo woodland doesn't have very high density of big game. So there are elephants and lions and everything, but not in mass numbers. So there's a lot more fruiting trees, a lot more insects. So you find a side stripe there and you find no blackback. As soon as you get to sort of northern Selous and north of the Rufiji River, all of a sudden you get back onto a bit of more open grass plains and stuff, and then the jackal are there up towards the Masai Mara, and then the Masai Mara Serengeti is a crossover point between two different jackal species, the golden jackal and the black-backed jackal. So very, very interesting distribution, and one of the weirder ones that black-backed jackal distribution follows is giraffe. So giraffe and black-backed jackal occur to the Zambezi, and then apart from a remnant population of Thornycroft's giraffe in the Luangwa Valley in Zambia, there's no giraffe again until you hit East Africa. Just double checking for Queen Karula tracks. And nothing just yet, so we're going to continue on. I think an elephant dropped a bush in the road there that looked slightly like a lion for half a second lying in the road. It is not, it is definitely a bush. I've been dropped by an eddy. Debbie's wondering about lion cubs. Have any been spotted? Yes, they have, not by us, unfortunately. The Styx females have cubs, but they're keeping them quite far down south, out of our traverse zone. But we do know they have brought them into this actual area around Twin Dams before, so fingers crossed we might see the next edition of Styx quite shortly. So we're dropping down towards the Mawati River. So Karula's last known position was about 500 meters to the south, about there, where she had an impala kill, and both cubs were there. So there is still a chance she might have crossed somewhere around here. Now, it's always very interesting that historically Karula tended to keep her cubs a bit more on Djuma around the lodge when they were this young, but she hasn't this time, and I have a theory that why she could be doing that. So, as far as I'm aware, now you guys have been watching and have been watching drives on Djuma for longer, you can let me know, but I think the reason is that Djuma hyena clan has become much bigger, and that is sort of right in the core of that hyena clan's home range. So she could be moving the cubs further away from that core area of the hyenas to protect them a bit better. But that's just my pet theory, and by no means fact or gospel, but I think it makes sense that she is keeping the cubs a little bit further to the south, away from that core area of hyena activity. I'm just going to have one last quick look here, see if there are any leopard tracks coming up the riverbed. Unfortunately not. So we're going to keep heading towards Cheetah Plains. While we do that, let's go to Sam so he can bid you a good morning.
Good morning, everyone. It is great to be out this morning. You've got Sam Chevalier that will be not directing you, taking you out into the bush this morning, and Jean-Ray will be the cameraman behind this morning. And we're going to stay in Djuma and see what we might be able to find this morning. Hopefully we can find anything. We're going to look for tracks. We're going to look for elephants that might be walking in the area. Last night I must have bumped into about 60 elephants on the way home. It took me forever just to get home. I was also with Jean-Ray coming back, and it was, to be honest, it was quite magical actually. Even though we were late for the live safari show, we sat underneath the moonlight and watched many elephants walking past us, which was very cool to see that. But now we are off towards the hyena den. Potentially there may be some hyenas. My experience with the hyena den over the last few days is that on the way there I just see hyenas just running in every direction before I even get to the den. So I wouldn't be surprised if I get over this hill and next thing I see a bunch of hyenas running around. But it is a fairly warm morning. I don't have my koi on or my jacket. I think that is because the clouds are quite set in the sky, but they're not really cold as in they're going to shower, it's going to rain. It's more like it's blanketing here, so it's keeping us quite warm. It's keeping all that earth kind of warmth underneath the clouds, so it's keeping us a little bit warm this morning before we go and see those hyenas. Well, if they're there, who knows if they're there? We don't know. Chris Rogue said that he potentially saw something that was heard something, a leopard potentially on quarantine. Chris Rogue, what we'll do is we'll go and check the hyena den and see if anything's there, and then we'll make our way around the back and see if there's any leopard tracks that have crossed in, and as soon as we find tracks, we'll try and work them as best we can and see what we might be able to find this morning. I wonder who it might be. It could very well be Tingana. I know Tingana's, I was tracking Tingana probably about 2 days ago with Liam. We were walking through the block just ahead of us here and went off into Buffelshoek. So, Chris, we shall look around and see if those tracks come onto the road anywhere. I'll be very excited if I can see Tingana again. I haven't seen Tingana for a while. Austin would like to know, what would Jean-Ray and I do in a situation if a storm just broke out right now? Well, Jean-Ray, you're the cameraman, what would you do behind there?
Put the rain covers on.
You would get into a mode which you don't normally see. Jean-Ray get ready mode, and he'll just start piling all these rain covers on and making sure that the camera is safe, and as well as the VR rig, which is just to the left of us there. So we would just make sure that everything is safe when it starts to rain. So in my situation, I'll just check my books and everything and make sure. Of course, I'll help Jean-Ray where I can, but he's the expert behind the camera. I also have to cover the dash here, so I'll have to cover this monitor. And Elvis would take the rein, I think. Elvis is most elephants don't really have anywhere to go. Here we go, we're off to the hyena den. So there doesn't seem to be any tracks around here at the moment. But what was fascinating is that those hyena were running into Buffelshoek, and some of them ran into Simbongili, at least like 3 or 4 of them that morning ran that way, and then two ran that way. So it was quite interesting to see them going their separate ways. And I started to read up more about hyenas and their kind of their just social structure in terms of how they get older and all of that. And with lions are the most dominant out here in terms of the species that controls the ecosystem. It doesn't have to worry too much about other predators. But same as that is close to a hyena. Hyenas are very close to like sort of dominance. Like a lion will kill a hyena, but hyenas also, especially when in those packs, they're formidable creatures, and that's why it was fascinating to watch them just running around, even the youngsters running into buffaloes, because it just made me understand that the hyena has also a very, very big influence out here, and are formidable hunters, as well as they are scavengers. So that is the spotted hyena. Enjoyed learning my hyenas since I've been here. So Chris Rogue would like to know. She would like to know if, well, she's saying that she loves going towards the hyena den every morning. She can spend days here because their social structure and their behavior is fascinating. And Chris, I can only agree with you. They just have a very, very different way of living out here. And, you know, like it's fascinating is their postures and how they stand and how their forelegs are so much longer than their back legs, and that's what gives them that really weird running style. And I was reading also stronger bite and a stronger jaw than that by hyena. I think it was something like 1,100 PSI, that's the word. And the Jaguar is 2,000 PSI, which is fascinating to learn that, because I saw a Jaguar last year and I remember thinking, I wonder who has a stronger jaw. It's the Jaguar, and that must be because the Jaguar needs to hoist big lifts out in the Pantanal where there's lots of water in the Pantanal. And it's just, yeah, it's a much stockier looking leopard really. I mean, that's all I remember from seeing it. It was very, very quick. I went on a night game drive and with a friend of mine, and we went looking for Jaguar. Next thing I saw a Jaguar in the river, and it was swimming to the other side. And it was so quick, it was over. So we're nearly there. There's something here. It looks like there's an elephant. Just saw the trees moving. And it is so nice, very fun. Let's give it some distance. Look at his ear. His one ear looks to be quite floppy. This is a very, very fascinating looking elephant. His one ear almost looks quite sad. What's he doing against this tree? He's rubbing himself there. Can you see that? So he is a very, very big male. And he is rubbing himself against this tree. Look at that. This is incredible. So what might he be doing? He could be rubbing some of the dirt off him that would have some of the ticks. He might have an itchy spot that he's trying to get rid of. That's why we see all that mud. You can actually see the mud below on the trunk of the tree. So he's been rubbing himself, and you can see there's quite a lot of dirt and dust around on him. So that's all being rubbed off. Oh, so that ear is fascinating though. Why is it lost? So I think they generally consists of cartilage in there. Those ears. Now he's really rubbing. Look at that. That is a perfect example of how an elephant likes to scratch itself on trees. That was very cool to see that. A nice morning scratch, and then very relaxed looking walk down the road. There he goes. Look how big they are. What's interesting, the elephant has 3 nails at the back on those hind feet there. There's 3 nails there, and there are 4 nails on the front feet. Which is quite interesting. And we were learning last night how they use those nails to cut grass sometimes, and then pull them up into their mouth. Some birds flying around. You can see a fork-tailed drongo that's following this big elephant on the morning, and this drongo will be looking to collect any insects as the elephant walks on its merry way. Wasn't that a nice little encounter with an elephant there? Came around the corner and got to watch the nice morning scratch. Let's follow him slightly. He's going to be walking down this road very, very slowly, so we can kind of meander our way with him. And this is where the hyenas will be. What does he see? There's a common duiker. That's just well done, Jandre. This is an antelope species that we don't often see out here in the bush. It's one of the smallest, so similar to that of the steenbok, which is very, very small. This is a common duiker. And they are very skittish, which means that they don't like to be seen. So to be able to see this little antelope right now is such a nice little gift of the morning, to see a common duiker. And they are like, they almost look like they're diving everywhere. Duiker means diving, so they run and they jump and they look like they're diving into the thickets in a way, and they've got huge agility. But it's the one species that often gets eaten by the leopard. So let's go and follow this big elephant. Let's go and actually have a look at that tree that was being rubbed at. Maybe we can see some ticks on the bark there itself. You can see how much that tree in front of us is really bent though. It's quite fascinating to see that. Okay, so he's not far ahead of us, he's still there. I can see him. So we'll go nice and slowly. There he is in the distance there. And this is where he was rubbing. So have a look at that. Quite a bit of mud on this wood here. You can see there's the bark. That bark allows for a nice scratching post. So they've got very, very thick skin, elephants. It's around 3 centimeters thick. And they'll come to these trees and they'll be full of mud. And they'll come scratch themselves against this tree. So I'm just looking to see if I can see any ticks that might be lurking around there. Because often you'll find ticks that might be sitting in that bark. So that is the tree that almost looks quite bent now. Look at the elephant now. He's still on the road, so we've followed him, seen where he scratches himself, and it now looks like he is ready to browse. We're not far from the hyena den now. It would be very interesting to see if the hyenas came out and what interaction would happen if the hyenas saw this elephant. And there he is browsing, a Breton tree over there. Cecilia from Buckinghamshire is asking, how do you protect all your gear, such as your camera and your VR rig, from the hyenas at night time? Well, Cecilia, the camera operators have their own little room where they look after the drones and they look after the camera pieces and the radios and all that sort of thing. So we're all part of that room as well. We all also look after it. And so we close the door so the hyenas don't get in there at night time. The hyenas might be able to get to the bins sometimes, but not to the camera operating room because we've closed it. Hopefully, everyone's closed it every evening. And have a look at this elephant who's getting up there with his trunk, breaking off something and eating. And what's also interesting is, I think the age of this elephant could potentially be around 12. I mean, this is a guesstimate here, but maybe around 12 years old, maybe more, because he is quite a big boy. But I mean, between 12 and 20 years, because what I've been reading and learning about is how elephants, in the breeding herds of elephants, how the young adolescent males will leave those matriarchal to the big breeding herds, and slowly but surely around the age of 12 to 13, the males will leave and they'll join with many, many different other males out here. And sometimes they can get up to bachelor herds of 10 to 12 of the young male elephants. And as they get older and older, I mean, there's been reportings of up to 50 males that will be together up in Tanzania and all that. So that was fascinating to read a little bit about that social structure of the male elephant and what it might do. But this one seems to be on its own. I can't hear anything else in the distance there. Lucy from South Bend, Indiana would like to know, will an elephant chase off a hyena? Well, Lucy, I've actually never seen it before, but if there is a number of hyenas that come into a close proximity of an elephant, I don't see why it wouldn't trumpet and show its ears and make those hyenas run away. So, I haven't seen that before, but that could potentially happen right now, because this elephant is not far away from that big hyena clan. That is, if the clan is present. So there he goes off into the distance there. We're going to follow him and see what we can find. But over here, where I'm looking over here, is the southern den. So the southern den hasn't been that active recently. So we can't actually drive up there anymore, because it's just, we don't want to keep squashing that road and making it too much of a road. So they haven't been seen there. We'll drive past there and just here and have a look and see if we can see any of those hyenas. But my guess is that those hyenas are at the northern den. So let's go slowly towards the elephants as well, because the elephant is also close by. So if we're going to see an interaction between a hyena and an elephant, it's going to be down here. I think it was someone from Washington Mail, is that right? Mail from Washington would like to know, can a human being actually outrun an elephant? No, I don't actually know what the biggest speed is of an elephant. Maybe probably around 20 kilometers an hour. So I haven't actually ever tried to run a race against an elephant, but that's an interesting fact that I could find out. I'm sure we probably could be a little bit more agile in our running style compared to that as an elephant. As you can imagine, 3 to 4 tons running, it's hard for them to move around. So I think we have the agility, but the elephant might have the pace. And here's the elephant, it's right over here. So he stopped feeding because he wanted to know what we were. Cecilia is asking, it looks as if the elephant's ear is badly injured. Yes, Cecilia, the elephant's ear did look like a little bit floppy, and I think that could have been because of a fight between maybe another male, where the cartilage in the ear was actually broken or severed or just injured in some way that is causing that ear to flop down like that now. Look, he is really, really big. And he goes off around the next corner, so that's even closer to the northern den of the hyenas. That's a little bit of an interesting interaction we've got going this morning. We're following the elephant down the road with Mr. Early, Harvest Early, Chandra and Sam, following a big elephant that seems to have quite an injured ear. We've seen it rubbing itself against a tree now and browsing on the different regions around here. There's also terminalia, so they also like to eat terminalia, which is sort of classy, but it's not as nice. You won't see that many trees with the terminalia species being eaten by elephants. This is still here. So the elephant, sorry about that. The elephant is there. Now we can see a really, we've come across a hyena. There's a young hyena here. There it is. This is going to be interesting. Look how he's looking straight at that elephant. There's another one here. There's 2. This is incredible. This could be, we've just answered a question around elephants and hyenas, and now it looks like 2 of the cubs have ventured out of the den. This could be interesting. Sorry about that beeping. That is the sound of the VR rig that is making that noise. Okay, so the hyenas are getting closer. Have a look. Ooh, the one in the distance there just got a fright. I think they're quite curious. They seem to be quite curious of the elephant, the large elephant here, but the elephant is not paying much attention to these hyenas that are here. But this is interesting behavior. The elephant is still feeding, so it doesn't even look that worried about anything. So it must be that this den is active. And they're going to play with each other. Awesome. You can actually hear the sound of the hyenas in the distance there. There's another hyena that's coming out. There's a third one that's coming out of the thicket there. Isn't this incredible? It looks like all the young hyenas have come out to play. This is the only way I've seen the hyenas over the last few days. I haven't seen them at the den for over 2 weeks. I've only seen them outside, getting ready, looking at the world, being curious. So they're still standing here. I can still only see 3. I just want to get into a position where we might be able to see more of what's going on. The elephant's walking in this direction. The hyenas are not far away. We're going to get into a position where maybe we can see both of them. So there goes the elephant. The hyenas are still there. I'm going to switch off just because we don't know the activity of them. They're running. It looks like they're playing. So it doesn't seem like the hyenas have come down, but it looks like they've gone towards that northern den over there. The elephant is still present. So it looked like those hyenas just came down just to see what this big, large animal was, and it was a big elephant. Oh, it was fascinating behavior to see that. 3 hyenas came down and had a look at this elephant. But I can still see them now. They're at the den. So we're going to sit here and see if those hyenas might come back towards the elephant and see that interaction. It's so cool that we spoke about that interaction. Now we're seeing it. Let's go and find out from Brent how he's doing. We're not leaving.
So exciting news, but don't get too exciting yet. Those impala look way too calm. But I've just heard 2 very exciting bits of news. Well, we've been following lion tracks. Unfortunately, they went into Nkoro. I've just heard they crossed chasing buffalo into Kruger. But there's also tracks of a pack of wild dogs around. They also went into Kruger, so I'm trying to zigzag my way towards the Kruger boundary, see if they possibly cut back in. We went and checked Cheetah Payne's pan, being the only permanent water source close by. Unfortunately, nothing there. Those impala look a little bit too relaxed, but nonetheless, we're still going to make our way towards the Kruger boundary and see what's going on there.
Okay, I was just coming to make my way there now. There's also a building there here on object.
Sorry guys, just listening. Sounds like there's female leopard tracks, but in core might be coming this way, so we'll maybe head back there later. And let's check for these wild dogs first. So apparently the wild dogs crossed just below this little river system. into the Kruger, but they could easily loop back onto the boundary. Lots of impala around here, so if you're a wild dog, that's good news. Those impala, they're looking a little nervous with life. Maybe. I'm going to switch off and listen for a second. Just the grey go-away birds and starlings making a noise. As impala look nice and relaxed, so. So I'm going to be moving quite quickly because we all know how far and how fast wild dogs can move. So, nice big open patch of sand here on the Kruger boundary, so a good place to spot tracks. Okay, so we're going to keep on our search. While we do that, let's go back to Sam.
So we are still with the elephant. The elephant's over there. It's not far away from us. It's walking right next to the den, the southern den where the hyenas are. I'm going to get to a position where we might be able to see if those hyenas are there. So that elephant is now walking into the open areas. There are the hyenas, so let's go and have a look. You can see them. It looks like they're following that elephant, interestingly. Or they might just do that, because I can see them coming to the bottom of the mound. There's quite a few of them active. Yeah, they are. So the elephants in the distance there, the three hyenas are just coming out of the den. And they're very active this morning, as you can see. They're very curious. And they're just listening. So the elephant, if you look closely, is there. There is the elephant. You can just see the legs of that big male. And here's the one hyena has now come down to have another look at them. So it's just experiencing the world and seeing what these big animals are out here. Still being quite nervous. Look, he's just on his forearms there. He's got his ears out, listening. They haven't left contact with that elephant. There's the elephant. So the elephant is walking on the western side of these hyenas now. It's so cool to see this interaction between the two. So it's just three. I don't know where the elder hyenas are. So now the two of them are standing up and getting a little bit closer to this elephant, which is fascinating to see. Interested, very interested in how big this animal is. There's another elephant. There's a young elephant that's now coming into the area. So not only do we have, this is incredible, so there's that elephant and there's a smaller one right here. And it's actually walking towards the den. So just when we thought we only had one elephant, another one just popped out of the bush. And it's walking towards the den. We might have a little bit of an interaction between the younger elephant and his hyena, because the curiosity might just come from both of them. Curious little hyena and a curious young elephant. Here comes this hyena. I'm close to our car. And it's just seen that younger elephant now. I think he's... So Brent is with a large breeding herd of elephants. They're going to be crossing into Kruger. Let's go and see Brent. We're not going to leave anyway.
So we're still on the Kruger boundary, and we've come across a big herd of buffalo, and they are moving into the Kruger. And unfortunately, they're going to keep moving, but there might be lions on the other end. So while you're having that fantastic sighting with Sam, the elephants, and the hyena cubs, I just thought we'd show you the buffalo quickly before they crossed into Kruger. We're going to go see if there were any lions behind them. So let's go back to Sam and that wonderful interaction.
So you managed to see a quick glimpse of that breeding herd with Brent. Those two elephants that were with us now, we cannot see. They've moved off into the distance, but we are still with these young, active hyenas that are running around the den. Well, this one is not, as you can see. This hyena is just on the ground. I just want to give them an update on the radio quickly. Good morning, this is Sam from Wild Earth. I've just come down Aubrey's Road and the hyena den is active, and there are two elephants, one big male that is heading in a westerly direction by the den. So it's nice to see that they've grown. They're starting to get those significant looking spots now. And this is great because ever since I came here, since my interview, I was always just learning about them as a young cub, and now I'm starting to see these hyenas that are growing a little bit older and starting to experience and become a little bit more independent outside of the den. What would be interesting is if those elder females came back now. So it's quite funny, the one hyena here is trying to catch this branch. Yeah, so they've just been playing with branches and playing with each other here by the den. So one of their strong, as we were chatting about earlier, are the jaws. So they will be playing a lot with their jaws, as you can see. They need to strengthen those jaws. So they get, oh wow. Ooh, a little bit of frustration. It's awesome to be with these young hyenas now. They're looking a lot more similar now that they're growing a little bit older. So Chris, you must still be watching. We are with these hyenas. The interaction with these hyenas has been fascinating. All the way from them coming down to have a look at that elephant, to them now just playing together outside the den. Betty was commenting and noticed that hyenas are quite dark when they are younger, almost like black looking, and as they grow a little bit older they develop those spots. So it's mainly within the first 2 to 3 months that the hyenas will be very, very dark in coloration. But after 3 months, 3, 4, 5, 6 months into their growth, they start to develop not only that nice looking mane on top of the back there, but also those spots that you can quite clearly see. And the spotted hyena out of the hyenas are really the bigger of the three. So you get the striped hyena and the brown hyena. I've never seen either of the two just a spotted hyena. Look at them playing, isn't this cool? Awesome. So these three hyenas are having a load of fun out here. So I'm really glad to be spending time with them. There's two that are just in the... There they are. They're coming back. Tim in Brazil would like to know, what is a drainage line? And I often talk about seeing leopards in drainage lines. Well, Tim, after we've spent time with these hyenas this morning, I'm going to get into to show you why I like to go down into those drainage lines to see those, and just to go down the den, just to show everyone what the drainage line looks like, because often you'll find leopards that are up in the jackalberry trees, or they kill something down there, and it's quite secretive in the drainage line. Tim, look at this, isn't this fun? Sitting here with the den in the morning. It's been a long time since I've seen them playing. So Tim, we'll make our way down to the drainage line a little bit later, and I'll show you some of the characteristics of a drainage line that create a conducive space to other secretive animals such as the leopard. Sometimes you'll even find elephants that are sleeping in drainage lines. That's a very special sighting to see. As the elephants we just saw earlier, so they will walk around and they'll be active for about 16 hours a day, feeding. And for the rest of that time, they sometimes find a place to sleep, some around midnight. So we're going to sit with these hyenas just for a little bit longer, and we'll see what might happen if those elephants come back. But in the time being, let's head off to Steph and see how he's doing on bushwalk.
I mean to steal you away from your hyena den activity. I know it's so special to see all those hyenas. We just wanted to say good morning this morning. My name's Stefan Winterboer, and on camera today is VM Doornbrach. And we have come all the way to the eastern side of Djuma this morning. We are walking around the Central Depression area. We're going to be unlocking whatever's over here. We've already seen 2 or 3 herds of elephant, so today is amping up to be one of those special days. But without further ado, we're going to be sending you... we're not going to be sending you straight through to Sam at the hyena den. He's just busy repositioning or something. So one of the things that is immediately apparent about where we're standing now is the fact that there are 3 trees on top of this termite mound. Trees that are relatively not uncommon over here, but trees that you don't really see that often. And this is one of Sam's perennial favorites. We are looking at the false marula here. Now, the false marula belongs to a family of trees that's actually incredibly hardy trees. And in some parts of the country, these trees are used for fence posts, and were once termed quite lovingly, I think, in the Afrikaans language as a kannie-dood. And a kannie-dood means that it can't be killed. Now, why this tree got that name was because they used to use these limbs as fence posts. As you can see, VM getting up nice and close to a dead branch there. But if you plant one of these branches, it had the uncanny ability of making leaves and giving roots. So what they used to do is they used to chop the branches here and there, and as you can see, this would make quite a nice fence post. And under normal circumstances, trees like that would just die and become a fence post. But these trees, this bough, will actually sprout leaves, sprout roots, and will start growing as a tree again. Can you believe it? So these live-long trees is another common name. Live-long tree, a kannie-dood, you can't kill it, or just the normal false marula. And they call it a false marula because it looks very similar to a marula tree with its bark that comes off in these patches. Now, why a tree has shedding bark is because this is the tree's skin. And you have any number of parasites that like to live on a tree's skin. You've got a lot of fungus, and then you've also got mistletoes as well. Now what this tree does is it peels its bark off in these squares. I'm going to find one that's ready to come off. Here's one that's ready to come off. As you can see, it came off. With this falling piece of bark will go all the mistletoe and all the fungus, and then the tree just grows a new bark. And so it keeps on popping off these squares of bark. And I actually only know of the marula tree actually that's in this area that does that. I suppose a leadwood as well to a certain degree, but this tree definitely one of the better examples of that popping off bark. And that is so that it sheds parasites off of its skin. Pretty similar to how I suppose a snake would have scales, I suppose. Quite nice, eh? Alright, let's carry on going down the road. We're trying quite hard to miss some elephant herds that are here. Not that I want to miss them and not show you, but it's definitely not wise to be in an openish area like this with a lot of elephant herds around. You need some elevation, you need a barrier, you need a termite mound or a drainage line or something like that. But Brent has got some updates for you. I know he's busy searching frantically for some wild dog on the boundary, but anyway, back to him.
So unfortunately, no sign of those wild dogs. They must have headed deeper into Kruger. But I did hear that there was a female leopard moving from Nkoro towards this spot. So I'm just going to take this out. I need to try to listen where the vehicles are. So it's I think Sam has seen her in Inkanyeni, but apparently both her cubs are with her. So that's why we're sitting here patiently watching and listening and hoping she comes this way. And there's a Kruger anti-poaching flight over there. Now, that's called a bat hawk. It's an ultralight, so it flies very slowly, and they're able to check very carefully and see things. So there'll be two people in there, a pilot and a spotter. Yeah, coming towards us. I actually know the pilots of these anti-poaching flights quite well. Really great guys. Twin brothers, believe it or not. And they fly out of Hoedspruit.
South right by almost at Kokwa open.
Copy, I've got the vehicle audio. So I'll just stand by here. Sounds like she's heading south. That's straight towards us. And we need to thank Shanae for this. She called me and told me there was a leopard on its way to Cheetah Plains. So I'm going to look here. She should be popping out anywhere around where Dave is showing you at the moment. So while we sit patiently and wait here, let's jump back on with... Oh, just hang on a second. I see people in here, in there. We should spot her any second now. A little bit to the left, Dave. And just looking for any little bit of movement. So there's that vehicle There we go. There comes Shanae. Well, she should be popping out any second now. So go to the left of the car there, Dave. Zoom. And do a slow, there, to the right, to the right. There we go, there she is. Inkanyeni. She's a beautiful female. Now, there come the cubs. Isn't this exciting? Definitely going to have to dig out the camera. Oh, they're looking quite well fed, the little ones. So they are still in coral, that's why we're not going any closer. Isn't this special? Here come the little ones. If I remember correctly, there's a boy and a girl. I've seen them once before. They should be about 4 months old now. I'm going to walk right past Shanae. Look at her looking back, saying, come on, hooligans, keep up. Yeah, we'll get a nice photo for Shanae. Look at that, isn't that wonderful? We're just going to keep still. She is moving towards us. And look at those little round, rotund bellies. Obviously, Inkanyeni's been keeping them well fed. Let's go parallel to her. These little guys are really relaxed, and they're over 4 months old now. Oh, there's a lazy one. It isn't this special. So I think this is the first time the cubs have been seen on the live drives. So unfortunately, in the area where we are at the moment, morning, hi Anders. Our FC comms are a bit staticky, so I'm just going to ask them to repeat that again. So Angel Lady says Inkanyeni has the most beautiful tail. Oh, look at that shaft of light coming out from the clouds behind. Now, wouldn't it be incredible if that shaft of light was popping through right on them like a spotlight on a play? Now she looks nervous. From what I heard, there were male leopard tracks, so there could be quarantine or another male around, and that's why she's moving these cubs. She could be trying to get away from a male leopard. I did hear about tracks of a male leopard nearby, and male leopards kill more leopard cubs than anything else, more than hyenas, more than lions. Just check over. She keeps checking over her shoulder. It might be worth our while if she does cross into Kruger, because she is heading that way, for us to go back and check towards 3 in a row pan. We're just going to go around so we don't block everyone's view. Morning, morning. So isn't this exciting? The first time Inkanyeni's cubs have been seen. She keeps looking back over her shoulder. We're going to stop now. So here we go. And apparently Sam has finally found his jackal.
I've just found a jackal. Ready to go. We've got to be able, this is the first jackal I've seen on this property. It must have run off. Where is that jackal? So Andre spotted it in the distance and then it ran into this thicket. Okay, we're going to see if we can find we'll drive the fire break and see if we can find that jackal again. In the time being, let's go and have a look at those cubs.
So she's just moving into a slightly wooded area now. We're just jumping up ahead again. There they go. Now, she's still on in coral at the moment. We're right on the boundary. There she goes, going to pop out into the open right here next to us. Look at those little ones. She's definitely nervous about something, and I think it could be those male leopard tracks that were called in a little bit earlier, and she's trying to get these cubs to safety. And the way she keeps staring back over her shoulder. Okay, so there's a little link road that comes up to the boundary. I'm just going to shoot around towards that. Oh, unless she changes her mind and comes straight towards us. Let me just wait 1 second. No, she's going to keep going towards there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to Are you guys ready for the first real close-up of the cubs? I'm going to park next to the boundary. Just make sure I don't wander across it by accident. I'm not sure Did she disappear? No, here she comes. Look at this. So Aqua's wondering, why would she have chosen such an open area to walk through? It's so exposed for the little ones. Well, Aqua, it's the quickest way to get away from whatever the potential threat she's moving away from is. So it's the little girl next to her at the moment. I think the little boy is lagging. They're walking straight towards us. They're going to come literally pass almost on top, like right next to us. This is just the best. Look here. Look at that. Look at that shit right here. We've got a cub. It looks like the cubs are going to cross either side of us. That's Inkanyeni. Oh, you can hear that little contact call. Ooh. Now we've got decisions. Here's the little boy. And behind Dave is the little girl. But we'll stick with the little boy. Absolutely magic. There they go. We're going to have to reposition. Morning, Vo. Sharp, how are you doing?
Alright.
Is she running from a Wanuna or?
Yeah, running from one.
Which one?
Never well.
Do you know which one?
Looks as well, this Wabalan.
Shvambalan. Okay. So there we go, guys. There's the answer. And we're going to just move now. Thanks, Vo. So it seems like Shvambalan is back there. And of course, if he happened to come across those cubs, he would kill them. So we just need to do some interesting driving. Sorry, I do need to listen to the radio. I just got to make sure. See where she is. There she is. And we might get stuck in a thicket, but I will try to get around to next to her again. Isn't this soil here lovely as well? This bright red soil. One of the only places we get the soil. Okay, so while we try and get back into position, let's jump back on board with Sam.
Wow, how has this morning started already? We've seen hyenas, we've seen an elephant, and we've seen interaction between the two. I just spotted this jackal. It's my first jackal. Actually, who spotted was our friend Jeandre at the back here. I was looking left, right. Then all I knew was a jackal standing in the middle of the road. And the next thing I knew, it was gone. And it ran through here. So hopefully maybe we can go back to you. But in the meantime, we're going to see if we can relocate on that jackal. And now he's sitting with Inkanyeni and her cubs. That's just amazing. I'm very, very happy for you all. I really wanted to see her and her cubs. I've been going, that's like the main reason, one of the main reasons I keep going back to Cheetah Plains is because I want to see those beautiful cubs of Inkanyeni. I will have my time, but I'm so excited, so incredibly happy that you're all getting to witness that beauty of Inkanyeni and especially her young cubs. Okay, so we are coming out into this open area now. Hopefully maybe that jackal has run. Ooh, quick link. Let's go and see our brainstorm.
There we go. There she is. She's moving slightly further away from the boundary now. She's moving deeper into Nkoro. We will try see if we can see her for as long as possible, but I think we are going to lose her now as she cuts further north into the block with those two gorgeous little cubs. Oh dear, I was really hoping she was going to come south. Oh, Dave thinks he spots some spots. Oh man, wasn't that special? Unfortunately, not as long as we'd like. They never are when they disappear. But yay, babies! Very exciting. Now, why don't we have a gander back up towards where she's coming from? Maybe we'll get another new leopard on camera today. Shabambalan. Okay, so I can't really, as I said, this area is quite bad for comms, but someone's asking what size are the leopard cubs in comparison to a domestic cat. They're a bit bigger. Actually, they're quite a bit bigger than a domestic cat. Already, these guys should be 4 or 5 months, if I remember correctly. And so they're much bigger. They're already probably nearly double the size of a domestic cat. Hi. She went through there. Thanks very much. Now I owe you.
That's alright. Glad you guys enjoyed it.
Yes. Quickly before she runs away. There you go. Wave hello, Shanae. There you go. Cheers. Okay, so I said we're in a really bad comms area, so I'm battling to here. I think we're going to jump across to Steph on Bushwalk. If we don't, then it's Sam, and I apologize. But we're going to go see if we can find Shavambalan.
There's absolutely nothing that I can do to compete with a sighting like you've just had. Isn't that wonderful? Leopard, cubs, mother walking past the car, big stories from Brent. I'm sure that it's a bit of an anticlimax almost coming to me this morning on the walk. What we do have is you've got quite a nice view, and that's about the only thing nice that we've got. But we're also flanked by some peltiforums. Now, it's quite rare to see peltiforums, and this is the African weeping wattle. Quite rare to see them such large trees together, but they almost always have something special to see. And if you go a little bit closer, and we can come and have a look through these very soft velvety leaves, they make quite a nice bedding when you're sleeping out in the bush. I almost always look for peltiforums close by before I make camp. Have a look here. Ah, here we go, Viam. So here's a spider that's made a home inside these leaves. In this one here, right in here, and I almost right here. We're going to see if we can see the spider that's inside that home there for you. Can you see it or not? I think it's a bushveld sack spider. She has folded up these leaves and she's made a retreat for herself. And I think, as far as I can see from where I'm standing now, it looks like that she's on the roof of this little silken retreat. And quite often at night time, spiders will build themselves a home. This one's a little bit too elaborate for me to be a one-night home. This to me looks like it's the home of this particular spider. And she's taken some time to put these leaves together and spin it for herself. It looks like something that she does. It looks like something that's more home than anything else. And so what that leads me to believe is this little spider hunts this particular bush, and that's where she'll live until she gets brushed off, until the plant breaks, until the leaves fall off. They can move, they do move, but in this particular case I think she hunts this bush. So you probably find that during the day she comes out and she combs through the leaves, just like Viam's showing you over there, looking for things that are hidden amongst the foliage. Things like praying mantises, because here we have an ootheca of a praying mantis. Now an ootheca is this spongy, almost polystyrene-y feeling egg sac And that is the egg case of a praying mantis. So this was from last season. They make this sort of foamy secretion from their abdomen that upon contact with air becomes hard. And what that does is it protects the eggs and it protects the youngsters. When the youngsters hatch out of their eggs, they secrete an enzyme which then turns this foam back into a liquid again and allows them to come out. And you get a whole bunch of baby praying mantises around. What we're doing here in this area is we're trying our best to try and thread our way through two different herds of elephant. Where we're going now, as you saw just now from the view, and what you can see from behind me there, it's quite open and it doesn't actually give us much cover at all. When you're tracking elephant, what you've got to try and do when you're getting close to them is you've got to try and look for termite mounds, you've got to look for drainage lines, things that give you a bit of a barrier between you and these ellies. So for now, we're just trying to work our way through them and pick up what little we can as we go along. But we're finding all these little jewels out here, and that's because there's a lot of hardwood. And hardwood, in general, is quite good for finding surprises. Now this just has a bunch of ants. Doesn't have too much else going on. And it was, of course, because I tried to predict what we were going to find over here. That's just my luck as it goes. And so what we'll do is we'll carry on looking for something else while we carry on going. And Elaine, while I'm busy combing through the undergrowth over here, good morning Elaine, you wanted to know, do we find any snakes in the undergrowth out here? Yes, you do. It's not common to find snakes though, Elaine. Generally, how we or crossing the road either, how we generally find snakes here is either crossing the road while you're driving the car, or with birds mobbing them. That's another very common way of finding snakes. Or funnily enough, in the camp. The area where you'll find the most snakes is in the camp. And saying that, I mean, last year we probably had, I don't know, 10 or 12 sightings of snakes in this dry season. What do you think, Vim?
Oh, yeah,
Probably not more than that. So you won't find more than 24 snake sightings in your camp a year. And then you have your odd occurrence. I know this year during drives we've had black mamba quite a few times on drive. We've had boomslang quite a few times on drive. But nothing much else. We've had one or two other little small snakes. And that's about it. That's about as common as what snakes are out here. That's a normal year for us out here, Elaine. So I'm going to keep on combing through the undergrowth. There's a chance that you bump into something over here. Alright, I just have to say thank you to Safari Dean there for the nice comment that you sent through there about me being something similar to a Google. Although I tend to disagree with you, Safari Dean. What I'd urge you to do is absolutely double check all the facts that I give you. But on that funny note, we're going to send you through to Sam for an update.
So we are now on Triple M cut line with Arathusa to our right, and we are moving down towards possibly the airstrip of Arathusa, but we're going to go first on Impala Road and check if there's any tracks maybe of shadow that might be lurking in the area. It's been a very, very fun morning of cats so far. You've managed to see some young cubs and a beautiful leopardess, so that's very, very exciting. You're going to see it's been, all of a sudden this morning just kick-started into gear, first gear straight away. All sorts of things as it's just started. So what an exciting morning. What might be able to find this morning? So we've also got an update from the very west here around the young, some other leopardesses. So we'll see if we can find them. Mary Ellen would like to know which jackal is larger, either the side-striped jackal or the black-backed jackal. Well, Mary, the black-backed jackal will feed on much bigger animals in terms of, it will eat termites and stuff, but also try and be a little bit more carnivorous, and it kind of goes in the same, will eat dakas, for example, and potentially will try and kill a steenbok, whereas the side-striped jackal doesn't. It only really goes for little berries and things like that. So the black back is a little bit bigger, It has a dark, obviously a big black back of the jackal. So from what I've noticed, the black back is a little bit bigger than the side stripe, but I've never put them and contrasted them in one sequence. So it would be interesting to just follow up on that and really see that. Maybe we'll get to see that in person. I've only ever seen the side stripe jackal. I've never seen the black back jackal. So hopefully one day I get that wonderful privilege to see that. But here we go. Let's get off this main road and see what we might be able to find on the Impala clearings. So I heard that Brent is off to go and see another leopard. Wow, so 3 leopards in one morning. What an exciting morning he's having on Cheetah Plains. So he's off trying to find the other leopard. I think it's a leopardess, I'm not too sure. It could be a male or female, I don't know what leopard he might be looking for, but that's very, very exciting. Shibambalan. So Shibambalan is a dominant male. I haven't had the privilege of seeing Shibambalan, but hopefully one day I might be able to. Alright, so we're in a nice open area. Doesn't seem to be much on the open areas this morning. There goes an Impala off into the distance there, doing his little rut, his morning rut. Let's see, we're going to see if we can find anything this morning. I mean, we've got leopard already, so we'll see what else we can find. I mean, the wilderness will show us what it wants to, just like that side stripe jackal just jumped in front of our vehicle, which was very cool to see that. And you just never know what you're going to see. Whatever corner you turn. And this morning we just turned a corner and there was a huge male elephant, and then next thing, hyenas. And whoa. Kyle has just listed everything that we've seen this morning, from leopard cubs to hyena cubs, all the way to, well, we didn't manage to follow up on that jackal, but it did run past our vehicle, elephants and all else. So maybe we'll see if we can find some birds as well, Kyle. They will make a nice diverse morning drive, from leopards to birds to hyenas. And you can start to notice that everything around us is starting to turn into that autumn color, my favorite colors, going into the autumn time, and the leaves will start to fall and these areas will become a lot more open. So tracking animals becomes a little bit easier out here, or merely just spotting an animal becomes a little bit easier. Especially when you are following lines that are trailing a buffalo herd. So it doesn't seem like anything's around here at the moment. But there are very, very different types of trees in this area. So you actually see lots of silver cluster leaves here and round leaf teaks. The elephants love the round leaf teaks, and there's actually elephant tracks now all over the road here. And we were sitting with a huge herd of elephants last night, so 60. So they very well might have come up into this area and start grazing and feeding. And it's incredible to think about the kind of impact that both buffalo and elephants have on landscape, and how they open up areas and stomp. What do we have here? We've got, looks like some more hyena tracks. So I'm just going to track for a second. Let's see what I can see down here. It looks like we've got some hyena tracks that are heading to the side of us. So what's also been fascinating is getting to know those hyenas a bit more outside of the den. Most of the time we've sat with them at the den playing and watched them doing their thing there, but following them, it's like almost following wild dogs. It's such a fascinating experience. Alright, so we're now coming to our four-way crossing here. Just going to see if there's any tracks that might be crossing. There's no tracks here. So there's another open area that we're coming up to, and this is Rebecca's Road. So Rebecca's Road will take us all the way into the east and towards Buffelshoek. we're going to have a look in these open areas. Potentially there might be something like a wildebeest that will be walking the plains, or the open area rather.